Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of A Happy Moment. My name is Dan, and I'm glad to have you with me today. And we've got a very special guest this week. She is comic creator Holly Cooper. Holly, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you with us. And Holly writes and illustrates all of her own comics. And she has a series she's working on right now called Restoring the Fourth Guardian. Holly, would you like to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah. Um, so it's a classic fantasy adventure. My heroes, they're not really heroes. It's a very underdogs rising up. So um, we start off. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but we start off
No,
with
no.
we start off with the I have a volume 0, but it's not necessary for the beginning of the story. So we start off with two farm boys, and they meet this stranger. He's almost demon looking, but I'll just spoil. He's a dragon. He's a dragonfolk, and
Oh,
he is on the run from the bad guys. uh, so he's on the run, and he shows up to these boys, and he's like, "Yo, I just need a place to stay." And so just by helping him with just a place to stay for the night, uh, it kind of spirals these boys' lives into absolute chaos. But the overarching story is a lot of rebellion, a lot of just trying to make the world a better place because this horrible woman, this witch, she's just poured chaos into every reach of the realm. And I always get choked up when I try to describe my story because I'm like, oh no, there's all these things, and I try not to spoil too much. So if I'm stuttering a
right.
little bit, that's it's because I'm trying to
You're
rack through my
fine.
head what I'm supposed to say. Yeah. Um, but let me just go into the title, because
Yeah.
that kind of gives you the good juicy parts of the story. So there are four guardians. There are two of chaos, and then there are two of peace. And currently, there is only three. And I could get a lot more complicated, but I'm going to keep this very simple. So the fourth one of the guardians of peace is missing. So the kind of overarching plot is restoring this guardian of peace to restore the balance of the entire world, because there's war, there's hunger, there's all of these horrible things, plague, sickness, all of these things, because this balance is offset. So um, once we kind of figure that out through the story, um, we start to, you know, for one thing, the rebellions start. People start standing up. They start doing this, and then they are trying to restore the guardian, who is kind of entrapped by the queen, the witch queen. And let me see if I can find a picture of her here. So they kind of have to defeat her in order to restore the balance. And then they start finding out as the story goes along that it's the world is even more out of balance than they originally thought. So it's a roller coaster. So
Okay.
yeah,
You
there's the queen.
okay?
Um, yeah, this is kind of a mural. I was really happy with this page. But I think without giving away too many spoilers, that's kind of the gist of it. Did it make sense? Because I feel like I'm just rambling.
Oh, makes sense to me. Now you mentioned that there's a volume zero that's That's
Yes.
kind of just like a little bit of backstory.
Yes, it's context on the stranger, the dragonfolk, Draco. It's kind of context as to why he's on the run. I mean, it's not full context because obviously there's just backstory, but yeah, this is why he's currently on the run. So he like
Okay.
stole a very powerful weapon from the queen. He doesn't understand the full power of what he's stolen. He's just trying to, well, early on he's a very selfish, a very single-minded character. He's not necessarily a hero just yet. Um So like even when he meets the boys, his reasoning for like helping and all of that, it's very self-centered, and he has to kind of grow out of that and learn to care for people. But yeah, he doesn't understand the power of which he's stolen, and so then it gets out of his hands, and then it's just this whole, even more things happen and spiraling, and yeah. But
All
yeah,
sorts of chaos ensues.
this is just him going through and basically just stealing. So that's why it's a lot shorter, because it's just one little piece of the story. Yeah.
Okay. Now, about how many books do you have planned out for the series?
I have a total of 5 seasons, and there's going to be about, I don't, because not every season I have them laid out, but I don't have, it's not like an even number. So it's going to be around 10 to 15 books per season. So it's going to be around 60 books.
Okay.
So I'm going to be
Do
doing
you
this
know?
a while.
Do you know when the next book is coming out?
I am working on it. So hopefully I should have it finished before the end of the year. I'm really hopeful because I am so much faster than when I did volume one. So I'm hoping before the end of the year.
Okay. When you're drawing, what are you using? Are you just using like pencils or?
I start off with pencil and paper because I do like itty bitty pages. Like I'm just laying out the book. Um, so I do that on paper, and the pages I draw them out like this big, so it's teeny tiny. And then I move on to my computer with Clip Studio, and because they have amazing resources for comic books and manga and all of those kinds of things. So I use that, and then I I just go from there.
About how long does it take you for one picture?
One picture, like one page.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I've never actually like timed myself on one page because I have a, I usually end up doing around 2 pages a day because I have a lot of other things going. But I think it takes about an hour or two, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Because I'll end
Okay.
up like working on 2 pages at once if they have like similar scenes and everything. I'll do all the backgrounds and then work up from there.
Okay. And if I'm remembering correctly from talking to you previously, I think you had said that you started planning out this series quite a few years ago.
Yeah, I think it was about 7 years ago. And it's so funny because when I had started it was a completely different story. About the only thing I kept the same was an evil queen figure and a few of the characters' names. So it's a completely different creature now.
Uh, what at what point did you decide that you wanted to turn this into a comic series?
I think I always wanted to. It just took a long time to get the courage built up to actually start. because I mean, like I said, I've been working on this and a lot of other stories and everything for 7 years, but it took that long. I think it was 23. Yeah, 2023 is when I finally decided, okay, I'm just going to stop trying to get better and just start, because I can't learn unless I'm actively doing something. So, yeah.
Right. And I've read your first two books, and you can actually tell the difference in the art, like how it's improved from one book to the next.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that your readers are going to be able to see that progression. You know.
Yeah. That was definitely one thing I thought about, because I was like, I really want them, my readers, to be able to like see my improvement and grow with me. That was one thing that I was really like, you know what? This is not just me procrastinating. This is me depriving them of building a community. And it just, yeah, because I've watched other people, I've been a fan of others, and I'll watch them grow. And I'm just like, I really like being a part of that. So that's one of the reasons I did start, even though I didn't think I was ready.
Yeah. You know, anytime it comes to a creative project, if we waited until we thought we were perfect, we never get started. So it's important
Exactly.
to take that first step. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
was
Big
there
believer in
was
that.
there Yes. Was there anyone that served as inspiration for you?
Well, I mean, I've just always loved comic books and manga overall. I don't know if I could nail down someone specific, but yeah, no one's really coming to mind. I mean, my mother has been a huge inspiration to me. She is an she's an author. She's a nonfiction author, so she's not necessarily a lot of help with my fiction, but she's always helping me work things out, even if she's just sitting there and I'm just yapping. Um, but she's always been an encouragement and helping me to learn and grow.
That's awesome. Now, um, how about the rest of your family? What do they think of your work?
Well, my grandmother is amazing. She pretty much she gave me a little shove. She's helped me pay for some of the tech I needed. So yeah, she basically just gave me a little bit of a push and helped me really get going in art in general, because she did a lot of like painting on canvas and all that when she was younger. So she kind of gave me a bit of that artist spirit and kind of helped with that in the art sense of it. She definitely helped. I'd say my brothers help a lot too, because they're pretty wild. So they're just, and they're supportive too. So yeah,
How many brothers do you have?
I have four.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. They are all younger. So yeah, one of them, I think, yeah, I think three of them are taller than me. So yeah.
Are you able to, like, have you ever had any trouble getting work done with all those brothers?
Sometimes, because they like to hang out. So I'll be trying to work and they'll come in and they'll be like, let's watch a movie or something. And I'm like, but I'm working. So it, it's, it can be annoying sometimes, but it's brothers.
Yeah, that's great. They want to spend time with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, were there any other like any movies or manga that you look to for inspiring
Yes.
what you're working
Yes.
on?
I mean, I can take inspiration from just about anything, like a TikTok audio that's 15 seconds long. I'm like, oh my goodness, yes, this is what I needed. But I think with Restoring the Fourth Guardian, I took a lot of inspiration from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, if you look close enough, I like to put little references and stuff. And then
Okay.
like some of the characters, I don't like to copy and paste other people's work because that is just wrong. But like there's only 8 plots that you can really kind of build off of. So sometimes things are going to be really similar. But some of my characters are heavily based on some characters in The Last Airbender. So it's like if you're looking close enough and you know that there's kind of those references, you'll be like, oh, that character is based off this character. So it's kind of fun. I'm like waiting for someone to notice.
I've actually not too familiar with Avatar, but I'll have to check it out now and see if I can
It's so
notice the
good.
similarities.
It's so good. Yeah, I feel like I came to it late in life because everyone else they watched it as a kid, and I watched it like 19 years old, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm watching all the kids shows I missed growing up, and I'm like, yes, this is the good stuff.
Now, you're this is quite a big undertaking you have going on here. You got a lot of books planned out.
Yes,
Do you have any other projects that you're also hoping to do?
yes, I have a I actually technically have like 3 other projects I'm working on right now. So I have another comic book series. It's a Bible thing. So I have the first one. It's creation. So it's a comic book about creation. Um, so I only have one of those, but I'm also working on another fantasy series that I'm going to work on a little slower alongside Restoring the Fourth Guardian. Um, and that one is, I'm really excited about that one because it's all about a cursed prince, but it's like there's this question as to who cursed him, why is he cursed. So there's all these questions and nobody knows the answers to them. And then um, the main character is actually his wife, and as to why they're married, and it's a very complex um, story. So I'm just really excited about that. I'm announcing it on my website and joining my email list. People are going to get early access chapters like on Webtoon. So and then it will slowly be put into volumes and be available on my store. So
Okay, cool. So you've got a lot on your plate. Uh,
yes.
do you do you have any other hobbies that you enjoy?
I recently started um, writing novels. So I have like separate ideas that I'm like, okay, I want this to be a novel and not necessarily a comic book. So I'm working on a supernatural thriller novel just kind of for fun and to learn the format of writing a novel because writing was something I struggled with. So I'm like, I'm going to write a novel to learn how to write. So yeah, I'm working on a novel. And then I like to paint, I like to sew, crochet, basically the old lady hobbies. I like all of those. So, oh, I love to bake. Um, yeah, I help in the garden. Yeah, lots of
Are you a good
hobbies.
baker?
I like to think so. I sell a few to friends, and they can't seem to get enough of them. So I think I'm good.
Now, being that restoring the fourth guardian is a fantasy, um, do you are you into like Dungeons and Dragons and that sort of thing?
Yes, yes. Yeah, at that ThunderCon, I don't know if you noticed my brothers. Two of them were there, and they spent the entire day over at the D&D table. So, um, we've we've kind of been trying, like me and my brothers were kind of dabbling in D&D, but I'm so busy, and then it's like we've got so much going on that we've kind of fallen out of it. But we'd like to keep trying at it. But yeah, love D&D.
That's cool. What character do you like to play as?
My favorite characters to play are a rogue and a barbarian. I I don't know. I mean, a sorcerer is a close third, but I definitely enjoy rogues and barbarian the most.
Okay. Now, when you guys were playing, who was the dungeon master?
Okay, so the oldest of my brothers, he's usually the dungeon master because he knows the most about D&D, and he should be a stand-up comedian. We keep telling him to do stuff because he is so funny, and he's an actor. You know, it's just so easy and natural for him that it's yeah, he's a really good dungeon master too. So he's a good player. It's like he's just well-rounded.
Very cool. Do you play video games at all?
I play a few. I played them more when I was younger. The same brother who's the dungeon master, he's learning game development. So I'm like,
Oh,
he's gonna make me a game based off Restoring the Fourth Guardian. So watch for that.
yeah, that'd be awesome. For restoring the fourth guardian, do you have any favorite characters so far?
Like my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, most of them, but there's a few of them that I'm not so fond of. But I'm like, okay,
Oh,
that means I did decent writing them because if you don't like the character, it's a good written character. If you're mad at the writer for something the character did, it's a bad character. So I'm like, okay, I don't like this character, but it's for the right reason. So yeah, my favorite characters. So my favorite of the kind of the main two characters, which is Rennie and Kier, these two right here. Um, my favorite of them is the older one, Rennie. Um, I can't really tell you why. I really like how his arc and his character development go, and yeah, my number one favorite character is where is Captain Corvus Veronin, the bald guy up here. Um,
what do you like about him?
well, I'll just say he starts off as a villain, but he has a very Zuko redemption arc. He's got a lot of Zuko vibes. So, uh, and then there's another character that's going to be in volume. Two more characters that are going to be in volume two. They're also my favorites, but Corvus is number one, and yeah, he has such a complex character. I've I've probably put the most effort into him. That's probably why he's my favorite. Um, his redemption arc. There's so many things about him. I can't even explain because he's so complex.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't want to give too much away too.
I'm
Got to
trying
leave
not
some
to, but
surprises for the readers. Yeah.
my brothers are always saying I'm an impulsive spoiler. So I'm like, oh, you can't say that.
Do you remember when you first started planning out restoring the fourth guardian? Were there one or two characters that you kind of created first, and then you kind of built the story around?
Yes. I believe the first character I made was actually Kier, the younger of the two brothers. Um, yeah, I kind of built his character, and then I think Captain Corvus was the second character that was kind of made. And in the beginning, like I said, they had it was a completely different story, so their relationship was a completely different dynamic. It's kind of the opposite now of what it originally was. So but yeah, I think I started with the three of them. No, the four. I started off with Kier, Corvus, Draco, and then the Queen. And then I kind of built off of the four of them. And the story kind of just developed and got more complex. And I have so much like history and lore that I'm like, oh, 5 seasons isn't enough. So
What would you say has been the most challenging part of the process for you?
probably just sitting down and actually doing it. Like, I think just getting into a schedule and a rhythm, that's the hardest part for me, because everything else, it's like I have so much fun drawing and writing and putting all these little references in and everything. But I'd say, yeah, sitting down and just doing it is the hardest part.
Earlier, we had talked a little bit about how, if you wait until you think you're perfect, you're never going to get started. So, going off of that, what other kind of advice might you have for someone that's just getting started out and who would like to write a comic or write a book?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say what I did, which was just kind of do whatever and just jump in. Do a little bit of research, but don't spend too much time just sitting there researching and learning and all of that. You still need to just get started and just do it, whether you're necessarily ready or not, because you will learn more from your mistakes and learn more as you're doing it than sitting there learning and taking notes and everything. Obviously, you need to know how to structure and how to lay out a comic book or a novel or whatever it is you're doing. You need to know how to um, lay it out, and you need to find a rhythm and a schedule that works. But yeah, you don't want to overlearn. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I think so. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Uh, I think the easiest thing to do is just go ahead and start doing the work, and you can always revisit it later and
Mm-hmm.
edit it if you feel the need to. But
Yep.
the important thing is just getting started.
Yeah. I know that because I'm always like adding little things and then I'll have to go back and change little things. Um, but that's fine with me. I like to just see how it develops over time. But just working on this next volume, volume two, I have I had to cut a character because I realized she wasn't serving any purpose for the plot or other characters. She had no importance in background, and I was like, she's she's not serving a purpose, so I kind of had to cut her. And then I realized, oh, this character gets to shine more. Their importance is more relevant, and the plot just it worked better. So definitely don't be afraid of cutting a character, cutting a scene, doing any of that, because it often fixes a lot of plot holes and issues that could have been reoccurring, and then you get frustrated over those things. So yeah, that was a little bit of a rabbit hole, but
No, I think it makes perfect sense.
okay.
Uh, Holly, uh, what is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Okay. Um, there's so many. I really like this Russian movie called I Am Dragon. It's it's so beautiful. Um, I think that's where I got the inspiration for my dragonfolk, my dragon characters. They're kind of based off of the dragon in that movie. And then I like werewolf movies. Like I love Underworld. I just watched this silly little romance movie called Mrs. Winterborn, and I because I get obsessed with fiction and fantasy and romance, and I just like I'm like okay, new hyperfixation. So it, so many favorite movies and things. I love Clone Wars, Lord of the Rings. Lots of anime. Yeah.
Oh, then you said you like werewolf movies, so I have to ask you then, uh, what is your favorite horror movie?
Does Split uh, classify as a horror movie?
Which one is that?
Um, I forget his name. The one with the multiple personalities. Uh,
Okay, bald guy.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, I think I know
That
what you're talking about, but I've never seen it.
okay. I highly recommend. It's a part of a trilogy, I believe. But Split is probably my favorite uh, horror esque movie because I've always had kind of a fascination with DID and mental illness and stuff. So
Okay,
more
I'll have to
psychological
check that one
stuff.
out.
That's a little bit. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily horror, but it's more. You really got to think about things, and it's just like a little bit. Mm, is the only way to
Okay.
describe it.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. I You mentioned that's part of a trilogy. Is that the one that Bruce Willis is part of too? I think he's in.
Yes, yes, Bruce Willis
Those,
is in it.
okay,
Yeah, Split
and
was the second one.
Unbreakable.
Yes,
Unbreakable is the first one.
yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
okay,
Split, the second movie, was my favorite. So
okay. Have you ever watched An American Werewolf in London?
yes, yes, I watched that.
Did you like it?
Yes, I liked it. It wasn't my favorite werewolf movie. I'm a little bit picky in werewolf movies. I couldn't even finish Teen Wolf, but that's um, no. I'd say my favorite werewolf movie would be Werewolf: The Beast Among Us. I love that movie.
Mm, don't think I've seen it.
I think
Is
it
that a
is a
newer
lesser
one?
known one, but it's really good.
Okay, I'll definitely have to look that up. Holly, what is your like? Where do you hope to be with your career like 5 years from now?
Whew.
Now that's a tough question.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say, just um, have my books more well known, have a good fan base. I mean, I never really was. I was never doing this for money or any of that. I just wanted to share my story. So it's like I think having a good fan base would be the greatest. Other than that, I'm just kind
I
of
met
just keep working.
Yeah, I met you at ThunderCon. What has your experience like? Was been your experience with like going to conventions and other places to promote your books?
Oh, I love it. I'm still very new to presenting my stuff and everything. Because like I said, I only started this like last year, July last year at the first ThunderCon I attended as a vendor. That was the first time I'd ever done any. Like it was the debut of Volume Zero, and um, I was so nervous, but I really love sitting at my table and just having conversations with these like nerdy geeky people. I just love it. It's one of my favorite things to do is sitting there talking to other people like me. It's a great experience.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of fun being around a big group of like-minded people like
Yeah.
that. Um, especially like in a smaller area like we're in, where there's not necessarily a whole bunch of nerdy people
Mhm.
like us. So it's always good when we can kind of congregate like that. It makes
Yeah.
for a pretty good time.
Yeah. Especially for me, I value that time with other nerds because I'm kind of the biggest nerd in my family. So it's like, yeah, my brothers are they all game. They but I'm the I'm the biggest nerd, so it's harder for me to talk to them and about these things because they're not as enthusiastic about it. So having that time with other nerds is really great.
Absolutely. Holly, do you have a website for your books?
Yes, I'm still working on it, but I have my own website. It is called firelordfrog.com, and all of the released books are available. So they're up there. I'm working on getting all of my other merchandise and everything. Um, but yeah, I believe it's functional. Um, it's hard work uh, designing a website. So yeah, but firelordfrog.com.
Okay. And do you have any social media handles where people can connect with you if they'd like?
Yes, I have YouTube. I'm still growing that, but YouTube is Firelord Frog, official Firelord Frog, I believe. Um, Everything is either Firelord Frog or official Firelord Frog. So I have TikTok, I have Instagram, and I have Facebook. Facebook is just my name, Holly Cooper. So yeah, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest. Yeah, and it's all Firelord Frog.
Okay. Is there a story behind that name,
Yes,
Firelord Frog?
uh, I love frogs, and then Fire Lord is a direct reference to Avatar: The Last Airbender. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Is there anything that we didn't cover about restoring the fourth guardian that you'd like to add?
um, I don't think so. I mean, I feel like I've just been rambling the whole time, but
No, not at all.
I think we covered it pretty good.
All right. Well, Holly, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've had a great time chatting with you, and I'm very excited to see
Thank
where the
you.
story goes. All right. And thank you, everyone, for listening to us. If you'd like to learn more about my podcast, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Just search for a Happy Moment Podcast, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.